Bourboulon has been the primary component of Daube Saint-Leu, a well-known red wine stew that originates from the regions of Provence and Corsica in France, for a very long time. There is nothing more satisfying than hunting your own meat in the woods, in order to ensure that it is both the freshest and most tasty there is. That is the reason why we embarked on our journey into the huge, uncontrolled forest, where we were sure to have exciting encounters with wild boars. In the morning, the woodland was covered in a thin layer of mist on all sides. For the purpose of maintaining visibility and providing assistance, we moved deeper into the ancient forests and spread out in a calm manner. As soon as the dogs were set free, they immediately began to behave in a manner that was characterized by loud barking the moment they detected a scent. When we heard the sound of their anxious barking, we rushed toward them. As you took a shot, there was a loud crack that reverberated throughout the forest. A blow was delivered to the boar, which quickly fell to the ground, that was covered in leaves. Nevertheless, before we could even begin to celebrate, yet another herd of wild boars charged out of the forest. Our weapons continued to thunder through the trees as we continued to fire. We were able to collect more game than we could have ever dreamed in a span of less than 3 minutes. The bushes in front of us made a rustling sound just as we were taking a moment to catch our breath. Hold on. Did you indeed hear that? My hold on the weapon became firmer as I murmured something. We came to a complete stop, our gaze fixed on the thick bush. All of a sudden, another boar emerged from its hiding place. I brought my weapon to my shoulder and pulled the trigger. It was struck by the bullet as it flew through the air and hit it solidly. Right there on the spot, the animal collapsed. As we traversed the dead branches, the sound of the branches crunching beneath our feet gave the impression that the forest itself was calmly observing us. A noise suddenly emanated from the opposite side of the path. I can see it. I hushed, indicating that an escape was necessary. As I slid into position, I carefully targeted for a shot that would prove to be crucial. The slam! The silence was broken by the sound of gunfire. Before collapsing, the boar jerked violently. Again, we prevailed in the hard environment thanks to our ability to maintain our composure and our acute skills. However, I was aware of it. Even more difficult tests are still to come. Once again, it was well after midday. A little rest was taken before we continued our search for the animal. When we were out here, we could never afford to relax our self-control. We were fortunate that our pack of hunting hounds was always on the lookout. The hounds detected a scent and swiftly brought a boar from the depths of the forest to the surface, causing it to move closer to where we were standing. There was nowhere else for the boars to go now. They had no choice but to submit to the icy muzzle of the boars, which was quite forceful. It was no longer necessary for us to have large groupings, so we divided up and each took up their own lookout point. Following that, I emerged from the thick canopy and focused my attention on it while keeping my finger on the trigger. A further herd of wild boars suddenly emerged from the bushes, as if they were stunned by the abrupt appearance of the herd. It's two. As a result, I acted on my instincts and fired immediately. The death of one of the boars was brought about by a brief exchange of gunfire. As I made my way back to the location where we were supposed to meet, Chris was still in the middle of a fierce standoff with the boars that had just charged. The act of hunting wild boars, in my opinion, not only offers a natural source of protein, but also contributes to the management of their number and the prevention of damage to crops. Having said that, we always make sure to strictly adhere to the philosophy of conservation as well as the local hunting rules. On each and every hunt, these are the guidelines that we adhere to. What you just witnessed was a large-scale wild boar raid, and it was not for the purpose of gaining glory or pleasure. The wild boars, on the other hand, have effectively depleted the resources of the entire Allier region. Located in the middle of France, the region of Allier is characterized by grain farms that extend as far as the eye can see. A wild boar population that has been allowed to grow unfettered in recent years has, however, caused the environment to become seriously disorganized. Worst of all, there is the worry that diseases will spread. Fields have been plowed up, crops have been uprooted, and irrigation systems have been harmed. In the month of October of last year, the local administration made a request for assistance from the hunting community in order to bring the wild boar population under control. The Allier is a region that is regarded to be a hotspot for the density of wild boars, and I, together with over 40 other hunters, created a hunting group that focused on the Allier. Several groups were formed, with each group consisting of 4 to 6 individuals, and we were each sent to a certain spot where wild boars commonly travel. In the shadows of the trees, a wild boar materialized. It is possible that it had recognized a threat, which is why it halted and listened. I made the most of the situation and dispatched this hog by opening fire as rapidly as I could. Following the successful capture of the initial wild boar, we proceeded with our ambush, and shortly thereafter, a herd of wild boars materialized. Our good friend Tony fired shots at the pigs. Unfortuitously, the bullet did not hit the target. It had the opposite effect, as it frightened the pigs and caused them to flee more quickly. When Tony realized that he had missed his shot, he expressed his dissatisfaction and declared that he would not let any wild boar escape from the barrel of his pistol. Tony calmly raised his gun and shot down a huge wild boar, perhaps as if to substantiate the statements he had just said. Wow, this is perhaps the largest wild boar that we have been able to kill up to this point. It appears like we are killing a wild boar by ambushing it. There was a large herd of wild boars that had gathered together. We kept shooting, and we were able to kill a significant number of wild boars. We cannot afford to waver. Leaving any behind will cause them to disperse and kill the pigs that are in the surrounding area. The herd of wild boar moved around in disarray. In addition, the strays were able to detect the scent of the pigs, which had ambushed them earlier to catch them. It is common for wild boars to travel in herds. On the other hand, in order to hunt successfully, we need to be really patient and wait for them to show up. When a wild boar is in sight, the ability to load successfully and aim with pinpoint accuracy is also essential to achieving success. We only need one shot to kill a wild boar, and we have to make sure that we aim precisely at either its skull or its lungs. It will save us time and lessen the damage that we have on the environment if we take a precise shot. Over the course of the afternoon, we proceed with our inspection of the paths that go to the agricultural region. On the other hand, the pigs were more intelligent as they moved in smaller groups, split up, and were better at concealing. However, despite this, they were still unable to evade our pursuit. Any wild boar that was discovered was promptly put to death. Even though the wild boar fled very quickly, it was still unable to avoid being hit by the bullet because of its quick speed. When a massive wild boar charged directly towards me after being attacked by a pack of hunting hounds, there were times when my heart was so close to stopping that it almost stopped beating. In the end, we were successful in capturing the prey and then returned. After being turned into meat, each and every wild boar was then distributed to the farmers that lived in the village. When compared to the searing heat of the lowlands, the plateau provides a cold temperature that is ideal for wild boars to thrive in terms of both their quantity and their size. This time around, we decided to destroy the herd by setting up an ambush in the highlands as our location of choice. Come with us as we set out on this exciting new adventure. For the purpose of searching for wild boars, the entire team wasted no time in releasing the pack of hounds into the countryside. Just a few moments later, their loud barking rapidly caught everyone's attention to where they were going. Down below, the wild boar and the hounds were engaged in a thrilling pursuit that was taking place underneath them. I took the shot completely without any hesitation. As a result of being struck by the bullet, the boar lost its sense of direction, fell over, and became unconscious almost immediately. Our dogs did not stop there. Sooner or later, they discovered another target, which was a group of more than 10 powerful wild boars that were running away. My friend Felix moved quickly into a blocking position and took cautious aim as he maneuvered into position. Instantaneously, one of the boars fell to the ground after being shot with pinpoint accuracy. In the process of moving toward a new location, we unexpectedly came across a pig that was attempting to flee. As soon as we jumped out of the truck, we hurried to take the picture. In an instant, the boar was thrown down beneath a pine tree that was green in color. After that, we made a direct ascent of the hill that was covered in pine trees in order to look for fresh targets. Thank goodness the bullet was able to hit its target. The pig rolled down the slope several times and then tumbled down it, bringing its goal of escaping to an abrupt end. Even before we had a chance to regain our breath, a horrible scene was taking place in front of us. There were more than a dozen dark shadows that downed the slope, and the sound of a quick succession of gunfire could be heard immediately. In the midst of the mayhem, the ground appeared to shake. In the end, a few of those black figures were eliminated before they had the opportunity to put up a fight. It was impossible for us to halt them, because there were still a great number of wild boars in the region. Following the discovery of indications that they were in a hurry, we followed their course and positioned ourselves at the top of the hill, ready to shoot. We fired one, the second shot. Then there are three. Although it had been injured, the boar continued to attempt to roll. This is the third shot. The fourth shot. I kept a vigilant watch over her. It was obvious that there were a number of boars charging down from the top of the hill. There was no need for signaling because we all started firing at the same time. Within a short period of time, a number of wild boars were brought down, and their piercing cries sent chills down to the bone. We resumed our expedition with fully grown wild boars, eagerly anticipating the terrible force they would possess, but we were unable to find any prey. Our crew immediately dispersed in order to thwart their assault and maintain a steady stream of fire as soon as we discovered them. Their speed, on the other hand, was astounding. Only one person was struck, and they were resting on the ground in a flat position. We had to wait for another half an hour before we discovered any other wild boars. During the process of concealing them, the density of freezing moonlight happened, which made it difficult to target. At long last, the chase was over. The sensation of triumph was unparalleled, despite the fact that we were completely spent. When we were on the last day of our arduous hunting trip, we made the courageous decision to travel for the highest mountain summits. This was the same location where wild boars were hiding out, wreaking havoc on the woods, farms, and the delicate balance of the local environment. Numerous herds of daring and violent boars charged downhill, destroying everything that stood in their way and putting the settlements that were nearby into a state of crisis. As of right now, hunting is the most effective solution. Our squad of hunters on the wild boar was prepared. Get ready for an adventure that will be both tense and exciting. After making sure that our guns were in good working order, we started the hunt. After only 15 minutes of observation, a large, dark shape gradually became visible through the scope. After holding my breath and being cool, I made adjustments to every centimeter, and then I pulled the trigger. The sound of the shot was incredible. The boar fell to the ground and remained motionless in an instant. I did not waste any time and quickly moved my aim to a location where further boars were about to run. As the quiet continued to reverberate, one crisp shot after another was fired. Every single target was eliminated one by one as their individual cries pierced the calm air of the mountain. As I carefully scanned the area, I did not hesitate to take a shot if I was close enough and had a clear view of the target. On the money! The boar was promptly taken down by a shot that was well placed. Even though it wasn't the most significant one, the outcome was nevertheless satisfactory. Due to the fact that we had achieved success, we shifted our focus to a larger herd that was moving in the distance. As soon as the first shots were fired, the herd dispersed in a state of pandemonium and began to escape in every direction. In spite of this, we did not give up but adjusted our positions while maintaining a fixed gaze. We took strategic shots, with the goal of making each bullet count without wasting any of them, and the sound of gunfire reverberated across the mountains. While some were injured, others were killed on the scene, and the remaining individuals vanished into the depths of the forest. A number of hours later, I made the decision to move to a more elevated vantage point on the slope of the mountain, which was an ideal location with a panoramic view of the dense forest below. Even the smallest movement of the boar, even the smallest movement among the long grass and bushes, was something that I was able to detect from that vantage point. Indeed, a shadow appeared a few minutes after the initial appearance. At that distance, I was able to correctly line up the shot, and I was able to bring the boar down with relative ease. The chase, however, was not yet over. As I traveled over the steep and rough slopes, it became impossible for me to pursue the animal. In these regions, ambush tactics were quite important.